This is a video response to James Yeager's Get Home Bag video. So we're going to go through the top 10 items I would bring with me, or I keep with me on a regular basis in my vehicle to get home in case of a big emergency. So we're going to go over here to my stuff. Number one, unlike people who live in Tennessee, being in Chicago, we have to prepare for cold weather. So this is my cold weather stuff. There's a down vest, a thick pair of socks, big thick pair of wool socks, because I won't normally be wearing those. This is a jacket and pants for rain wear. Would provide some snow coverage as well if I had to be out, cut the wind. If I were wearing a suit the day I had to go to, the day that I had to get home. There's a hat, a cheapy pair of gloves, I don't usually use them to keep my hands warm. They're usually just to for doing work to keep from getting cuts and bruises or abrasions. This is microfiber cloth, just the cheap ones from the dollar store. They're next to nothing. They weigh nothing, and they're good for absorbing stuff. A bandana, good for improvised bandage. Could be used as a tourniquet. I learned in Boy Scouts how to turn that into a tourniquet. Great for filtering water to get the big junk out of water. It's an all-around good thing to have, sort of like the original USA Shamag. Along with the cold weather, again, you wouldn't need this if you lived in a warm climate necessarily. This is an SOL Escape Bivy. This is the little bit bigger size that is breathable. This I think would, it's pretty much water resistant, would help if I had to sleep overnight someplace, if it was that far away. I sometimes am 50 miles away is about the most I do during a day. So if I were at the end of my trip, 50 miles would be a long way to walk in one day. Next is cutting tools. This is a Mora knife, just your stock standard Mora knife. Inexpensive, general utility blade, safe to use, easy to carry, very super light. The sheath is indestructible plastic. I mean, this is maybe 40 below, it might crack, but super good for what it does. This is a fairly basic Leatherman tool. Has the rest of what you might need for last minute repairs. Next we go to water. There are 3 different water purification methods here. First, a water container. This was the deluxe style from REI. I bought it at a thrift store for $1. See the dollar on there. So this stuff doesn't have to be expensive. This is a more expensive way to, when you're talking about initial price, this is a little bit more expensive to buy. This thing, you pour a little bit of water in there. It dissolves whatever this solution is, and then you pour this into this with some dirty water, shake it up for a period of time. I think you let it sit for a half hour, and it turns your dirty water into drinkable water. I would probably not bring this with me on a regular basis. I happen to have it in my water purification kit right now, but if I had to boil this down to 10 items, this would not be one of them. These Katadyn water purification pills are great as well. Here's the little packets. These again are a little bit more of an expensive way to purify water, but very effective. Again, you grind up these or dissolve these in the water, let them sit for a half hour, and then the water is drinkable. My choice for the one item would be, it doesn't normally come in this case, this is from something else, but a Sawyer filter. This is a tiny little filter, and it's good for like 1,000 gallons. Even if I'm wrong and it's 1,000 liters, that's still more water than I drink on one trip. Great item. It comes with a bottle, collapsible bottle, like a platypus bottle, some adapters for hoses and things like that, so you can get, I just put the whole thing together so I didn't lose the parts. This with the bottle and a couple extra bottles of water in the car is, to me, all the water you need. Fire may not be important in Tennessee, but when you are freezing your butt off in 40 below weather in Chicago, you're going to wish you had some way of starting a fire. This is a smokeless fire item. This is trioxane tabs. This box has little envelopes with probably 6 or 8. I don't see how many there are in here. But these things burn really well. It's kind of like an alcohol flame where it burns with, you can't really see the flame, so you have to be a little bit careful with it. This fire starter is terrific. I have Bic lighters and other things available, but this thing is great. This waxy wood makes good tinder. The magnesium makes it start even below 0, and the flame, the ferrocerium rod on the other side, so you scrape a little bit of this into it, a little bit of this into it, and then you spark it up, and this baby starts fires any place you want to start a fire except underwater. So there's my heat for, really survival heat. I might not carry that in the summer, but likelihood of anything going wrong is going to go wrong at the worst time. That's going to be 40 below in Chicago. Next is a little bit bigger section. This is all first aid and comfort items. Got a ventilated operator kit. Bought that while I was at a tactical response combat rifle class. Some rehydration salts. One of the things that happens, particularly in the dead of winter, is we tend to dehydrate pretty quickly, and if you start getting cramps or anything, that's really good for that. 2 little items of lip repair. You get in the blistering wind and you get chapped lips. It hurt. It happens. Also, cracked fingers. This stuff can cure that a little bit. Carmex is similar to that. This tends to work a little bit better below 0, but this is great stuff also. A couple of Band-Aids, a couple of pain reliever packets, something to put all these little packets in. This is just an empty Altoids can, and since I emptied the Altoids, you got to have some breath mints. Don't want to gross anybody out, so some cheapy mints. Somebody gave them to me at a trade show, probably at the NRA show. So that's all first aid related. Inside the ventilated operator kit is everything you need to plug holes. I believe there's a soft T tourniquet or a SWAT T tourniquet in there as well. Great item, well worth the money. Actually, kind of a bargain compared to other blowout kits. Next is food. Again, wintertime, you need food. You need calories. These things are terrific. I am fairly allergic to wheat, so I cannot have anything with wheat in it. So a lot of the power bars that are out there have wheat. It just makes me sick. This is 100% gluten-free beef. It is tasty. This stuff is good. Now, in the dead of winter, this thing's going to be hard as rock. So you got to keep this in an inside pocket so it stays able to eat it. These Combat Crunch bars from Muscle Pharma. These are excellent power bars. They're mainly not for energy, they're mainly for protein. There's not a lot of carbs in here, and there's almost no carbs in this. But they're really good for keeping you going. I recommend something with carbs in it. There's nothing with carbs in here because we're in good times. In bad times, you want carbs, and more carbs. This is strictly comfort for me. This is caffeine in a packet. These are coffee, tea bag type of things with coffee in them instead of tea. This is great stuff. If you can, I don't care what brand you get. If you need caffeine, you do not need to be withdrawing from caffeine when you're hiking home. This is an excellent thing to throw in with your food. Some sardines. There's a couple of different flavors of sardines because nothing's worse than monotony on a 2-day hike home. I'm kidding. And this is tuna, little tiny cans of tuna. Now, one thing about these, they're super easy to open. They open with a key or with a pop top. You can always get a regular can of tuna open by rubbing it on the sidewalk until it starts to cut through abrade through the seal on the top of the can. But you make a lot of noise doing that, and you make a lot of you run the risk of losing some of your food, and the oil that's in there is good energy for you. The only downside that I see of these type of things is they smell. This stuff doesn't smell. If you're eating these, no one's going to know you're eating them when you're 5 feet away. If you're hiding out someplace, you're hunkered down and hiding out to get past whoever you're trying to get past, they will smell this stuff. So do not open this when other people are around. That's almost as bad as cooking in a bug out situation. You do not want to be opening sardines. Anybody who's not dead will know you're there. Next is light. These are light items, a couple of Siloam sticks, which is a sort of a soft light. They're not really harsh. They just glow, and they glow for a period of hours. Be careful which ones you buy. Some of them are 15 minutes, some are a couple hours, and some of them are 6 or so hours. You don't want to be leaving something like that behind you or dangling it off your pack if you're trying to be undetected. And then just some sort of sturdy flashlight. If it's a Pelican that's plastic, that style, or something that's aluminum, either way for me. This has more steps in it than I usually care for. I like a simple flashlight that you turn on and turn off. This one is higher, and then it flashes, which drives me nuts. It's also got this little cap on the back that at odd times glows red. I don't want that giving me away, so this would probably not be the best choice. It happens to be the one that's in the bag right now. I will be replacing that. Not that the brand is bad or it's not bad for other things, it's just not good for what I'm using it for. This is ammo for a slingshot. The slingshot's not on the table, but I have that in another bag. But this kind of thing can be a nice way to distract someone who's looking for you, or take small game if you needed it, but I don't think I'd be in a bug out or a get home situation looking for game. So I probably would not include this. Change is always nice. You're not going to run into payphones anymore, but you might run into a vending machine that has something in it and you might need to buy a candy bar. Incidentally, for food, there's nothing quite as good when you need energy than a Snickers bar. It's got good protein, a lot of sugar. I don't eat them during regular times because they make me fat, but in a get-home situation, a Snicker bar would be excellent, except again that they will freeze in the ultra cold, and if you don't want to chip a tooth while you're out, so careful with that. So there's the change. I got my rape whistle, very important. It's good for signaling. This thing is made for boaters. Whatever brand you use, as long as it's one that will work when it's wet, and if it is slightly plugged. I'm listening for the little P inside to see if it's one of those. Some of them have a P, some of them don't. They're often called a storm whistle, so you can use them while you're out in the water. Again, I'm not planning on being in a water environment, but I have to cross rivers when I'm in Chicago to get home. We have a lot of rivers and waterways that we have to get across. So very handy to have. I have a Right in the Rain tablet, so I can make a note and rip it off and tack it to a bulletin board, or stick it inside a bottle and throw it in the water, whatever I'm doing with my notes. So this is miscellaneous crap. This is a small size of Battleborn products. This is from Breakthrough. This is nice stuff. Got a little bit of solvent, a couple of lubricant pads in there. Last minute ditch repairs if your primary weapon goes down for some lubrication or dirty and dirt related issue, you can solve it with this in a field expedient way. It's naturally not a whole cleaning kit, but it's something. The universal tool of all universal tools, duct tape. Gotta have it. This is Gorilla Tape. This is a 1-inch roll. It is $6 worth of the cheapest insurance you'll have in your entire kit. This thing, I was walking through Menard's hardware store, and I saw this and I thought, good God, that is absolutely perfect. This thing is meant for marking bricks and concrete when construction crews are coming through. It's in the surveyor section where you see the surveyor tools, chalk lines, and all that kind of stuff. This thing, you can mark a bug out location with some code that your family will know, or people who are with you will know that your next destination is. So you don't want to write down, I am going to such and such location, but make some sort of a mark that people you want to follow you will know what it is. You can also leave misleading marks, a big arrow towards the area